Hi everybody, welcome back to part 10. This is very quick overview because we will not be doing much, well, we won't be doing anything on the barn. On this video we're going to be concentrating on the base. Most people don't think the base is that important. To me the base is important. It's the way you actually show off what you've actually been building, and if you put a lot of time and effort into your build, I feel you should just put as much time and effort into the actual base. So where we left it last time, we got the doors all fitted, even though this one sits halfway down the stairs. We made up the doors, the door frames, we got all them bits and pieces finished. I'm going to be finishing the finer detail on it, the weathering and stuff like that. I shall be doing that over the next week or so, but I will be doing clips and stringing them all together to make a video so you can see the progress on the actual weathering of the barn. So a quick tour around. Everything is done. The build is actually, well, to me is now complete except for the weathering. So we're going to move on now to the base. So I'm going to put you on pause, I'll put the camera into a better position, and I'll just run through what I'm going to do to sort my base out. So we're starting with the base. Now there's been a couple of things that have been in the back of my mind all the time that I've been doing the build. Now the first thing has been the actual size of my base. Fortunately I've got quite a large area that I can actually put this diorama when it's finished. The actual size of this base is 500. I've got a 600 wide shelf, so I know it's going to fit. The second thing that's been in the back of my mind all the time is weight, because a diorama of this size can get extremely heavy. Now the weight of this so far, which I've got written down on here, is 3 kilos 200. Now that is the weight of the base and the weight of the actual barn. The reason why I'm keeping my eye on the weight is because I want this onto a turntable, and most turntables are rated on how much weight you can actually put onto them. Fortunately, I know this is probably not going to go over the 5 kilo weight with everything on, hopefully, cross fingers, but I've already ordered a turntable for this, and it's going to be it's a 10 kilo max turntable. So that was one of the things that's always in the back of my head about doing the base, is making sure that when it's all finished that you can actually show it off. The turntable is on its way, so we'll have a little look at that a little bit later. But first things first, what I've got visualised for this base is very much like a cake tier. So I've got my base, and then I want the actual ground to be raised up at about, what, I don't know, about 20 mil, 25 mil. Yeah, about 20 mil total. So we've got this band of earth that's going to go all the way around the bottom, and then the actual diorama is going to sit on the top. And like I say, it's going to be weight again, because I don't want to do this out of Dad's clay. So I'm going to be using some of the foam board. I've got plenty of offcuts, which I'm going to just glue all over my base randomly. Well, no, it's not going to be randomly, but I'm going to use this as the core, and then I shall be building the actual outside of this up with Dad's clay. The thing is, I want this to be very uniformed all the way around the edge. I want it to be nice and clean, a nice cut, and following the shape of the actual base. So when it's rotating, everything stays nice and even, should I say. The symmetry of it should be nice and clean. So to start off with, what I'm going to be doing is when I actually cut this circle, I actually drilled a hole in the centre, and I use this as my scribing circle, so I know this is the centre of the circle. I've drilled this right the way through. That will be apparent later on when we get on to fitting the actual turntable, but we won't go into that yet. What I'm going to concern myself with today is actually getting this base covered. So it's going to be a very, very simple process. Because we've got the hole in the middle, we can put a screw in, or anything that you like, a piece of wire, and I'm going to be using this just to scribe round when I find a pencil, which is totally gone now. No, it's not. We found it. So what I'm going to be doing, I want to set the edge of the diorama back by about 15 mil. So we're going to have a circle that runs all the way around, 15 mil all the way around, and that's going to be the finished edge of my diorama. But I want to fill the centre with foam, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to measure in roughly 40 mil, and then I'm going to use my pencil and a piece of wire. I'm all hands, all fingers, but this is only just a rough guide just for me to stick my foam, and then we're just going to run that round like so. So we've got our circle. Now this is where I'm actually going to take my foam board to. So I'm going to use this now. I'm going to get all my pieces and I'm going to cut them and get it all glued down, so I've got this centre core all done with the actual foam board. You don't really need me to see me doing that, because there will be quite a bit of cursing and swearing going on, because I've only got bits, I haven't got a full bit piece, but I like to use up what's laying around. So I'm going to get on with that and get that all filled in, and then I shall come back to you and we'll move on to the next bit. Okay, caught you out. You're expecting to see the base done, but I didn't mention about what glues I'm using. Start off with, I will be using PVA glue. This is not a school glue, a white standard PVA glue. This is an adhesive sealer primer bonder PVA glue. You get this from the builders merchants. It is a lot stronger than the white glue. It sticks 90% of materials because it's designed for the building. So this is what I'm going to be using. This is what I use on all my builds. Very cheap. I think the 5 litres only cost me about £10. So that is what I'm going to be using, is the PVA to bond everything together. Bottom layer has been done of the rather large cake. Now it's all been glued down. I've used a few screws. This was just to help me stop things from moving around. I've just put a few screws in. It's, like I say, it's just to stop the pieces from moving because I was using so many bits. Now the next step is I'm going to take this outside because a couple of these bits are slightly higher than the rest, and I'm just going to use a rasp and just level it down the best I can, because it doesn't have to be ultra level, because we will be covering this in a layer of clay. So I'm going to get on and get that done, and then I should come back to you and we'll move on to actually getting a coat of plaster onto this to make it all nice and hard, ready to take the clay. Now I've given this a bit of a rasp just to flatten it off, give it a sweep off, so we're all roughly nice and level now. The next stage is I want to give it a coat of plaster, well, it's a mixture of plaster, PVA and water. Now, I'm doing this to make a good solid base, so I've got something to work on with the clay. Now you have to excuse, because you might hear children, because my grandchildren have just turned up for their Sunday dinner, so you'll just have to bear with me. Now what I've got here is, this is, well actually this is Herculite. This is Herculite 2 because I haven't got no decorating plaster, and the other ingredients is PVA and just some ordinary water. Now all I'm going to do is. So I'm going to take the top off, and we're going to give this a good glug of PVA, and we're going to mix this in. Now I'm going to do this in small quantities because the plaster, this Herculite, does go off rather quick. Not as quick as, well, it goes off quicker than the decorator's filler. So I'm going to have to do this very quickly, and all we're going to do is mix this up. And what we want is a brushable paste. So I'll just mix this all up. Now what happens is the PVA actually strengthens the plaster, and you'll actually get a rock solid covering, but it still keeps the weight down. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. So a little bit more water, and we'll also give a little bit of PVA. You can probably hear my grandchildren in the background screaming for the nanny. There we go. So we're not going to cut this out, we're going to keep going. The joys of being a grandfather. Now we've got it to a brushable paste, like so. I mean, it doesn't have to be ultra smooth because, like I say, it's going to be used as just a paste, and we're just going to, that brush isn't much good, but all we're going to do is cover the whole of the diorama base like that. I'm going to put it around the edges as well, like that, and I've also marked a line up where the clay is going to go, and I'm just going to keep that inside of that line all the way around, like so. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to carry on and get all this done, and when it's finished I shall come back to you so you can have a quick look. Now everything's been covered, and as you can hear, it's as hard as rock, and luckily the grandchildren have all gone home, so it's nice and quiet. So that is my base ready to put the clay on, because I'm just going to be running the clay around this front edge just so I can get a nice face edge. Going to be using DAS, nothing too extravagant. So what I'm going to start doing now is, I'm still going to use a bit of PVA first. I'm going to just thin a bit of PVA down with a bit of water, and then just give that a light coat as I'm going along, and so the clay really has got something to stick to. And I'm just going to build this up all the way round. I've got my screw left in the centre for the simple reason is I'm still going to be using that, because what I will do is with my scraper I can actually go all the way around and make sure I've got a nice even finish all the way around. But I will be backwards and forwards as I'm doing it, so you can see what's going on. Okay, I've managed to actually get some done, even though I did have the grandchildren yesterday. So I'm about a quarter of the way round. It's a long way round this actually. It's an actual metre I've got to go around. So I'm going to keep on filling this edge in. As you can see, I've still got quite a way to go. Nothing special to actually tell you. I've just got to build this up all the way round before we can think about actually putting the barn on the top. Now, all completed. I filled it in right the way round, and it's almost there to how I want it. What I'm actually going to do next is I'm actually going to get the barn put on, and I'm actually going to draw around it because I want to get this top layer of clay put on. So I'm going to put you on pause. I'll get the barn, we'll get the barn positioned and make sure everything fits, and then I'm going to draw around it, take the barn off and actually do my top layer of clay, but leaving the spaces for the barn to actually sit in. Right, I've positioned the barn, and what I've actually done is I've actually drawn all the way around it, outside and in. The simple reason is because what I want to do is actually remove the barn. I want to do a layer of clay on the top, but leaving a indent for the actual barn to go back onto, because I still got quite a bit of work to do on the base with the turntable, getting all the edges sanded down, painted up, sprayed, all bits and pieces like that, and it will be so much easier not having the barn attached to the actual base. I will be fixing it, but that will be a bit later on when I'm ready to start putting the soil and the grass and all the other bits and pieces on and getting it finished. One small modification I'm going to have to do is on the stairs. This sits up just a fraction too high for me, so what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to cut this off level on the posts and remove that totally, and then bring my clay underneath there, so when we actually put the barn back on, in theory these posts should just about touch the clay and it will look a lot better, I think, anyway. So I'm going to get on now. I'm just going to roll some clay out. I'm going to lay it all over. I don't think I'll be doing the inside. The simple reason is because we need to put some cobbles, some slabs and that. But I will be doing all the outside, getting all the outside, so we've got like an indent in the centre. So I'm going to get on with that, and I shall come back to you when I get it all finished. Okay, we've got, well, I've got all the top actually covered now. I've left the hole in the centre for the barn, which, by the way, what I'm sort of intending to do is to break up bricks, bits of slab, blocks, and actually layer that in as more of a hardcore base. I've dropped the front slightly because what I want to see as well is that line of hardcore along the front edge of this. I've sanded most of it. It's 99.9% there. There's still a few little things that I need to sort out. I've got a couple of little flat areas on the actual base which I just need to address, but besides that it's all there, I think. So what I'm going to do now, because I'm quickly running out of things to do while I wait for things to turn up, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a coat of paint on it. I'm going to use just some flat earth by Vallejo. I'm going to give it a whole coat, so I've got a reasonable base to start putting stuff on top of it. So I'm going to get on with that, and I shall be back with you in a second. One coat of brown paint, and it looks very much like a very large chocolate cake, but there you go. That's okay. I'm quite happy with that. I am happy with that. I'll put you on pause and we'll drop the barn on so we can get a little bit of a perspective on it. So there we go. The barn's in place, and as you can see, I've chopped this base off here. That does look to me a lot better. All in all, I'm quite happy with that. It's a good base, and it's going to get me started now to get grass and some undulations, should I say, small hills and bits and pieces. But the plan is all coming together. I am happy with that. I'm going to have to do a little bit of fettling here just to make sure that this all sits right there. And to be quite honest with you, I don't think it's sitting level. I think we need to lift it a little bit, but I will address that when we come to actually fitting the barn on. But all in all, I am more than happy with that. And to be honest with you, that is as far as I can go with this video, because the simple reason is I'm waiting on things. I'm waiting on kits, I'm waiting on the turntable, and it's mainly the kits now because, well, no, the biggest thing is the turntable. I need to get the turntable fitted and done so I can actually start doing the rest of the finishing the rest of the diorama, getting grass on and positioning things and getting things done. So I'm afraid it's the end of this video. I'm sorry it's been a little bit of a probably not as interesting video as normal, but the base is still something that has to be done. It's still something that has to be planned out. That's the boring bit of doing dioramas, but there you go. So all I can do now is say thank you very much for joining me, and hopefully we'll see you on the next section.